Why spiritually awake people feel so alone. Alan Watts. You've started to notice things, haven't you? Patterns, connections, a deeper rhythm beneath the surface of everyday life. And with that clearer sight, a peculiar ache has settled in your chest. It's a quiet, persistent hum, a sense of being profoundly alone. You might feel it most acutely when surrounded by people, a subtle barrier forming even in the midst of laughter. It's a strange paradox. The more deeply you perceive the world, the more isolated you can feel. If your awakening has brought with it this unexpected weight of loneliness, know this: nothing is broken within you. In fact, this feeling, this profound sense of solitude, is often a sign that you are truly seeing, truly expanding. You haven't failed. You're simply navigating a new terrain, one many others quietly walk alongside you. Think about those moments. Perhaps you're sitting across from someone you've known for years, listening to them speak about their day, their worries, their triumphs. And suddenly, you feel a subtle shift. It's not that you don't care. You do, deeply. But you might also perceive a whole other layer to their words, an unspoken undercurrent, a dance of assumptions and expectations that feels almost visible to you now. It's as if you've been given a new set of eyes, or perhaps had a veil gently lifted, revealing a world both more intricate and, at times, more bewildering. This heightened perception, this ability to see beyond the immediate surface, can create a silent chasm. You find yourself understanding things in a way that feels fundamentally different, and articulating that difference often feels futile, or worse, alienating. It's the quiet evenings, when the house settles into silence and the usual distractions feel hollow. You pick up a book, scroll through a feed, or try to engage in a familiar hobby, but a deeper part of you yearns for something else. It's not necessarily for company, not exactly, but for a connection that resonates with this new depth you carry within. The conversations that once felt engaging now seem to skim the surface, leaving you with a sense of gentle dissatisfaction. You might find yourself withdrawing, not out of disinterest, but because the effort of bridging that perceived gap feels exhausting. It's easier sometimes to simply exist in your own space, with your own thoughts, even if that space can feel vast and empty. This isn't the loneliness of simply lacking companionship, though it can certainly include that. This is the loneliness of perceived incongruity. It's the feeling of having glimpsed a different reality, a more expansive way of being, and then returning to a world that seems, to your newly opened senses, to operate on a different frequency. You might notice the persistent pursuit of external validation, the endless striving, the fear-driven narratives that seem to govern so much of human interaction, and you might feel a profound detachment from it all. It's not judgment, not truly, but a quiet recognition that your priorities, your understanding of purpose, have shifted. And with that shift, the common ground with others can seem to shrink, leaving you feeling like an observer rather than a participant. You might even question yourself, is something wrong with me? Am I becoming aloof or judgmental or simply too sensitive? These thoughts can swirl, adding another layer to the quiet ache. But what if this feeling isn't a flaw in your character, but an inevitable, even necessary part of your unique journey? What if this solitude is less about being separated from others and more about being integrated into a deeper, more personal truth? This isn't a journey of abandoning connection, but perhaps of redefining it, of finding a new kind of resonance in a world that often feels out of sync. You are not alone in feeling alone in this way. Consider for a moment how your inner landscape has fundamentally changed. What begins to happen is a subtle erosion of the rigid boundaries you once held between yourself and the world. You might find yourself experiencing a porousness, an uncanny ability to feel the energetic currents beneath conversations, to perceive the unspoken anxieties or the quiet joys radiating from those around you. This isn't just empathy, it's a deeper resonance, as if the edges of your individual self are becoming more permeable. Consequently, casual interactions that once felt straightforward can now become intensely energetic, sometimes invigorating, sometimes utterly draining, because you're picking up on so much more than just the words being spoken. This expanded sensory input, while a profound gift, demands a new kind of conscious energy management. You're learning to navigate a world where you feel more connected to everything. Yet paradoxically, this can make intimate, contained connection with another individual feel more complex, requiring you to actively define your energetic space. Furthermore, a significant shift occurs in your relationship with time and the conventional pursuit of meaning. As you deepen your understanding of impermanence, of the transient nature of all forms, the relentless striving that defines so much of modern life can begin to lose its luster. Conversations centered around accumulating wealth, climbing corporate ladders, or meticulously planning for a distant future might start to feel different. It's not that you dismiss these aspirations entirely, but you might perceive them with a quiet awareness of their ultimate ephemerality, like discussing the intricate beauty of a sandcastle destined to be washed away by the tide. Your internal compass points increasingly towards presence, towards the richness of the now, rather than the deferred gratification of a future that may never arrive as imagined. This evolving perspective naturally recalibrates your priorities, making it challenging to fully engage in discussions that are deeply rooted in conventional, future-oriented narratives, leaving you feeling like you're speaking a slightly different dialect of existence. Imagine yourself at a bustling family dinner. The air is thick with laughter, clinking cutlery, and the familiar hum of interwoven stories. Your aunt is recounting a meticulously planned vacation for next year, detailing every hotel booking, every museum visit, every restaurant reservation. Her eyes sparkle with the anticipation of it all. Across the table, your cousin is passionately outlining his 5-year career plan, complete with projected earnings and a timeline for a new house. You listen, you smile, you nod. You can see their excitement, their earnest belief in these future constructs. But inside, you feel a gentle, almost imperceptible distance. You notice the way the light catches the dust motes dancing in the air, the subtle scent of the roast, the fleeting expression on your grandfather's face as he quietly observes the scene. You're present, profoundly so, but your presence is anchored in a different kind of now. You're not judging their plans. You simply perceive the vast ocean of time and change that surrounds them, a quiet awareness that makes their rigid blueprints feel wonderfully, heartbreakingly fragile. You participate in the moment, but you're also observing it from a slightly different vantage point, a quiet island in the midst of a vibrant current. The desire to articulate this feeling vanishes, replaced by a soft acceptance of the moment as it is, and a knowing that your experience is uniquely your own in that space. Another crucial layer emerges as you grow increasingly comfortable with paradox. The world, as you perceive it, ceases to be a collection of neat opposing categories. Instead, you begin to recognize that seemingly contradictory truths can often coexist, not as conflicts, but as complementary facets of a larger reality. This embrace of ambiguity, this comfort with both and, rather than either or, profoundly shapes your understanding. Consequently, when you encounter discussions rooted in rigid certainties, in the fervent defense of a single viewpoint, you might find yourself stepping back. You see the inherent limitations of black and white thinking, the way it often obscures the rich tapestry of interconnectedness. While others might seek definitive answers, you've learned to appreciate the question, the space between the poles. This nuanced perspective, while incredibly liberating for your own inner landscape, can often be misinterpreted by those who rely on firm convictions. Your ability to hold multiple truths simultaneously can appear as indecisiveness, a lack of conviction, or even aloofness to those accustomed to clear-cut stances. This disparity in how truth is apprehended can subtly but powerfully impede the kind of deep intellectual and emotional alignment you might have once sought, cultivating a quiet sense of distinctness. You are not alone in finding solace in the vastness of what isn't known, even if it sets you apart. As you navigate this evolving inner terrain, you may find the world itself begins to resonate differently. It's as if you've inadvertently tuned into a new frequency, one where the background static of conventional assumptions fades, allowing subtler signals to emerge. This shift isn't a deliberate choice to withdraw, but rather an organic outcome of your expanded perception, a natural consequence of your internal recalibration. The very fabric of your being has become more receptive, more discerning, leading you to experience interactions and aspirations through a lens that often feels distinct from the collective. This isn't about superiority or detachment. It's simply a recognition of a profound internal reorientation. Drawing these delicate threads together, we begin to perceive a mosaic, intricate and deeply personal, that explains this pervasive sense of quietude. It's not merely one aspect of your experience that sets you apart, but rather the cumulative effect of these interwoven transformations. Imagine yourself as a ship that has subtly altered its course in the vast ocean, while the other vessels around you continue their familiar trajectories, responding to the same historical charts and prevailing winds. You've found a new bearing, guided by an internal compass that points towards horizons previously unseen. You're still in the same ocean, under the same sky, yet your journey unfolds with a different intention, a unique rhythm. This divergence in direction, however gentle, naturally creates a widening gyre between your trajectory and that of others, leading to moments where the distance feels palpable. This unfolding also brings with it a fascinating paradox. The very sensitivities that deepen your connection to the underlying unity of existence can simultaneously amplify your sense of individual distinction within the everyday human drama. You become acutely aware of the intricate dance of cause and effect, the subtle energies exchanged, and the transient nature of all phenomena, including your own thoughts and feelings. This profound comprehension, while liberating, can make the more superficial currents of social engagement feel less compelling. You're no longer merely observing the ripples on the surface, you're conscious of the deep, slow currents beneath. And this broader perspective naturally influences where you choose to cast your anchor. In light of these insights, the feeling of solitude, which might have initially felt like a burden or a sign of something amiss, begins to transform. It is less about being disconnected from others and more about being uniquely connected to a deeper truth, a different way of experiencing reality. This solitude is not an emptiness, but a spaciousness, a quiet chamber where your expanded awareness can reside without the constant need to translate or explain itself to a world operating on different terms. It's the quiet strength found in knowing your own internal landscape, even if that landscape feels distinct from the well-trodden paths of others. This growing comfort with your own singular perception is, in itself, a profound form of self-acceptance, a gentle surrender to the authenticity of your own unfolding. As we pivot towards a final reflection, consider that this distinctness is not a flaw to be corrected, but perhaps a necessary condition for deeper integration. The very act of perceiving the world with this heightened awareness, of embracing paradox and sensing the ephemeral, naturally shifts your place within the collective. You are not meant to force a fit, but rather to inhabit your unique space with grace and quiet confidence. The sensation of being alone, then, becomes less a judgment and more a simple descriptor of a phase, a natural outcome of expanding beyond previously held boundaries. It's an invitation to cultivate a different kind of belonging, one rooted not in external validation, but in the profound inner resonance you've discovered. This journey, while often solitary in its essence, is far from barren. It is rich with the potential for a deeper, more authentic connection, both with yourself and, eventually, with others who share a similar, unspoken understanding. The path forward, therefore, is not about erasing this feeling of distinction, but about embracing it as a fundamental aspect of your evolving consciousness. The quiet distinctness you've come to recognize, this gentle separation felt even amidst camaraderie, is not an anomaly. Consider it a profound testament to your inner world's subtle recalibration, a signature of stepping through a threshold of perception. This sensation, often mistaken for a deficit, indicates heightened sensitivity, a deeper attunement to nuances unseen by casual glances. You are not simply feeling isolated. You are experiencing the spaciousness arising when conventional narratives lose gravitational pull, when external expectations recede. This solitude is the echo of your expanding awareness, a natural consequence of your unique unfolding. This internal shift repositions your compass. Where once you sought validation in shared understanding, you now navigate by intrinsic light. The desire to conform, to blend into established patterns, diminishes. This isn't willful defiance, but an organic redirection of energy. You find yourself drawn less to collective agreement and more to the quiet integrity of your own felt truth. This movement away from external benchmarks, while initially unsettling, carves out a sacred space within. Here your authentic self can truly breathe, unburdened by constant effort to reconcile nuanced perceptions with a world often preferring simpler truths. This quiet self-reliance becomes a profound strength, an anchor in human experience's shifting tides. What emerges from embracing your distinct perspective is a peculiar, liberating freedom. It is the freedom to observe without immediate judgment, to participate without complete absorption, and to connect without desperate need for congruence. You understand that genuine connection doesn't always demand identical viewpoints or shared blueprints. Instead, it blossoms in respectful recognition of individual journeys, in quiet appreciation of another's unique trajectory, even if vastly different from your own. This isn't passive withdrawal, but an active choice to engage with profound inner wholeness, allowing your presence to be an authentic offering, not a performance to bridge a gap. This integrity, born from solitary insights, becomes a beacon, subtly inviting different interaction, rooted in depth rather than superficial alignment. The true paradox lies in this. The very solitude that initially felt like a burden is, in fact, fertile ground from which a more profound and expansive connection can ultimately spring. Through the courageous act of dwelling in your unique perception, honoring insights that set you apart, you cultivate capacity for connection, transcending mere agreement. You learn to connect not from seeking completion, but from quiet fullness. While those deeply resonating with your internal frequency might feel few, the quality of those connections, when they arise, will possess unparalleled depth and authenticity. You are not destined for perpetual isolation. Rather, you are being prepared for a more resonant, meaningful tapestry of relationships woven with genuine understanding, even amidst differing perspectives. This is the quiet promise held within your present experience. So how do you navigate this daily unfolding? The true practice begins now, not in striving to eliminate this distinctness, but in learning to inhabit it with grace. When that quiet sense of separation arises, lean into it. Acknowledge it not as a problem, but as a signal, a gentle reminder of the depth you carry. Allow it to be a space for introspection, reaffirming your internal compass. Cultivate inner generosity towards yourself and others, for your path is often less visible, less celebrated. Trust the subtle whispers of your intuition, even when they diverge from prevailing currents. This is about becoming a conscious participant in the grand dance of existence, bringing your unique light without dimming it to fit. Ultimately, the profound quiet you experience is not an ending, but a new beginning. It is the necessary spaciousness for a deeper, more authentic life to unfurl. This journey, while sometimes marked by singular perception, is ultimately about rediscovering the interconnectedness of all things from a more profound vantage point. It's about understanding that true belonging isn't found in losing yourself in the crowd, but in courageously claiming your unique place within the vast, intricate web of existence. In this quiet strength, you find not an absence, but a profound presence, a resonance echoing far beyond individual expression, touching the very heart of what it means to be, fully and authentically, yourself.